Hi guys, welcome to the first day of our new transition. I'll see you on Wednesday, but I'm going to be giving you videos. Before that, I'll make videos to kind of talk to you about a problem that we're doing or note cards. And much like we did before, you're going to write these note cards into your notebook, and then you're going to take a photo of it and send it to me as part of a document. But today I'd like to go back. We've been working on decimals the last couple weeks, but I'd like to back up a little bit this week and just kind of go back to fractions a little bit. Talk about how we use fractions in problems, talk about how we add them, how we multiply them. But right now, we're going to talk about adding fractions. And one of the things you notice on here is that if you remember, when we add fractions, we have to use common denominators. And on this one, this problem, 3/4 plus 2/5, we know that we can't just add it straight up. We can't add the top and the bottom straight across. That's more of a multiplication thing. But in adding, we can't do that. We need a common denominator. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we are finding a common denominator between these two things. So for instance, in this case, uh, I have a cat bothering me at the door, and it's really annoying. But anyway, I'll lock him up in a little bit. The idea here is that you find a common denominator by looking at the two factors, 4 and 5. And if we look at 4 and 5, we can say there's a couple ways to do it. One is to put 4 and do all the factors of 4, or all the multiples of 4. 4, 8, 16, 20, right? 24. And then to do it for 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. And I'm going to stop at 20 because you notice they line up right there. Like this is our key right there. We've got one that actually makes sense. So this one we can use right here. This is our new denominator, right? It's a common multiple. So it's the least common multiple. So what we do then is we're going to make our kind of denominator is 20 in this case. So go back, we'll make this black again. And we'll say down here, we're going to make the bottom of this number 20. We're going to make the bottom of this number 20. And then we draw it like this. Now, what I need to do, if I change the bottom number, right, I have to do the same thing to the top. So for instance, if I look at this and say, how did 4 get to 20? Well, 4 got to 20 by multiplying times 5. So therefore, I need to do the exact same thing to the top, right? And that is multiply times 5, right? And that will give me 15 over 20. Now I want to do the same thing for the other problem. I want to look at this one and say, how did I get to 20? Well, I got to 20 by going 5 times 4, right? So I want to do the exact same thing at the top. I want to go times 4, right? And I'm just basically paying attention to any fraction. If I do it to the top of the fraction, I have to do it to the bottom of it or if I do it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. Now, I've got a common denominator, which means now I can add them together, right? So now I can put an equal sign, and I can add up 15 plus 8, which will give me 23. And I can add up 20. I don't add 20. I just keep the denominator the same. So kind of like that whole thing where you're counting equal parts now. We've basically broken these into equal parts. And now I've got 23 over 20. And as you guys know, we keep going with this. We try to simplify it. We say, well, how many 20s go into 23? Well, one whole, right? 20 goes into 23 once, and what's left over? There's going to be 3 left over out of 20. And that's the whole problem. Now, that's not very difficult, but it's also can take some time, right? And the problems can get more complicated. I'm going to show you now the butterfly method, which is pretty interesting. I like this method. So we're going to make there we go. And we're going to change the color. Let's talk about butterfly method in terms of let's look at how we do it. So the butterfly method you may have learned before. What we do is we multiply these sets of numbers, and then we multiply this group of numbers, right? So you're basically multiplying across. And I know it's an addition problem, but it's just like a shortcut. And we can put the answers up here. So we say, okay, up here on this part of the butterfly, we got 3 times 5, which is 15. And up here, and my butterfly is a little bit silly looking, over here we have 4 times 2, which is 8. And I know it's a plus sign, but butterfly method requires multiplication there. Then what you do is on the bottom, you multiply 4 times 5, right? So down here, you put 20. Now notice what we did. Our numbers look a lot like these, 15, 8, and then 20 on the bottom, right? So we take those numbers and we add them straight across. So it's like a shortcut, right? So now we look at this and we say, well, what if I add that up? I come over here and I write in the new fraction, the answer, right? Up here at the top, we got 15 plus 8, that equals 23. And over here at the bottom, we have just 20, right? So this 20 goes to there, that 15 plus 8 goes to there, and now I've got 23 over 20, the same thing. So this, I don't think this is necessarily less complicated. It's got a few more steps, but it does provide the same result. So you're drawing this little butterfly. My butterfly is absolutely terrible, but we're going to work on that. We're going to do some practice with it. So now we get the same answer, 23 over 20. We do the exact same thing, which is we say how many 20s fit into 23. That would be 1. What's left over? 3 over 20. So our answer to this problem is 1 and 3/20 on both sides. So these are two different ways to do it. And we're going to go through about another couple. I'd like you to practice the butterfly method in the next video we're going to talk about. All right. I will check out the next video, and I'd like you once again to do this in your notebook and then send it to me. Submit it to me by uploading a photo of it. All right. Thanks, guys.